I also acknowledge that we meet here on land that was never ceded, and I wholeheartedly support the many campaigns for truth-telling, justice, and reconciliation, both here and across this country. It's an honor to be here today for this milestone event. I'd like to send a special thank you to the Honorable Lord Mayor of Perth, Bruce Reynolds, the Chairman of the Pacific Globe Association, Norman Locke, and the two company directors of Bullock's, Mr. Ivan Bullock and Ms. Rosemary Bullock, and a warm welcome to all of you. You know, as mayor, I started this morning, in a room full of about 50 small businesses in Fremantle, talking about how we're all going to be working together to make sure that those businesses can do what they need to do. And this evening, I'm going to be swearing in, I think 36 new citizens to this country. And in between, I get to be here with you all. So I'm very fortunate to be here, and I just want to say thank you for giving me this time. And I'm here to say one thing, well actually maybe a couple things. But first, if you all, do we have a presentation? Do I do this?
Yes.
Okay, I'll do my best here. If you have any extra time over the next couple days, come visit our port city. You know, come for amazing food, beautiful music, art, beaches, or just to explore all unique places, because the city of Fremantle has it all. Oh, there we go, behind schedule, there we go. Yeah, we really do have it all. This year, the WA Good Food Guide Awards, Gage Road's Brewing at Victoria Quay won the 2026 Pub of the Year. It's an amazing location where you can head outside for a front row seat, taking all the action of our working port while you have a pint. Also, the best bar dining was recently awarded to the H&C Urban Winery in Fremantle's East End. It's a wonderful spot. And in fact, you know, foodies flock from all across Perth to Freo because there are so many good places to enjoy a great meal. We got Vin Populi in our Heritage West End, has amazing Italian, or you can show up with Sandy Feet for some coastal Mexican food at La Cabana in South Fremantle. And just a little hot tip, when you come to, spend a little time in Fremantle, make sure that you find a little pirate bar. It's called Darling Darling. It's in the West End. And if you want a classic, kind of local Australian pub, there's nothing better than the Norfolk Hotel. In fact, I met my wife there, and we still go there to this day. So I encourage you to do all that. And music, let's see. Music is also at the heart and soul of Freo. We have street buskers, festivals, live music shows, and as a city, we even host Sunday music concerts at the Wally Fremantle Arts Center every Sunday. So I hope you packed your swimsuits, because Freo's beaches are world-renowned, with turquoise waters and sandy wet shores stretching along our coast. Yeah, that's them right there. And if you'd like to swim within a netted enclosure, a safe swimming area, or enjoy a relaxing beverage on the beach, on the sand itself, then there's nowhere better than Mangaree Bathers Beach, because you can do them both right there. If it sounds like I'm a salesman for Freo, well, it's my adopted home, and it's a very special place. I came here 12 and a half years ago for a holiday and never left. So whoever organizes this conference, make sure you do a head count afterwards, because you may want to make sure that all your delegates make it home safe. But now I'm the mayor of this beautiful city of Fremantle. And part of what makes Freo unique and made me feel at home from day one is that we have a working port right on our doorstep. Just right there. And this port has been a vital part of our community's identity for over 120 years. We are a port city, and in my view, this working port should be a part of our city for the next 120 years or more. It's also a vital part of what makes Fremantle's economy thrive. The port provides over 6,000 jobs, that's indirect and direct jobs for our community. And just the stuff that's on the north side of the river, so the other part there, North Quay, that contributes over $3.5 million in revenue to our city coffers annually. Some folks in our state and federal government don't want to ship this iconic part of Freo, our Freo community, 26 kilometers south to Kwinana. When one thing about this plan that is rarely, if ever, mentioned is the distance between where freight is collected and the distribution centers where it mostly needs to go will more than double. This means more fuel, more time in trucks, and of course, more cost. So if you look here, you've got Fremantle right about there. The proposed new outer harbor is down that blue circle. And from Fremantle to Osborne Park, one of our main distribution centers, which you guys probably know about, is 20 kilometers if the port moves, it'll be 50 kilometers. And the plan is to take the trucks from that blue circle over to the Kwinana Freeway and go straight up, which if you've never been to Perth before, the Kwinana Freeway flows freely all the time. There's never any backups. So, so moving the port is going to result in more time on the road, more costs, and more fuel being burned. The reasons cited for moving our working port out of Fremantle are pretty thin, but they include pretty much soon there'll just be too many people in cars, which will cause freight trucks to become gridlocked in traffic. And that's about it. Government tells us there are no other solutions to this problem other than spending about $10 billion for a new container port and likely destroying Coburn Sound in the process. But this reason kind of becomes even more flimsy when you look at what the port actually contributes to traffic on our local roads in Freo. The main road into the port during peak commuter times, that's weekdays, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., port trucks and port traffic, it's only 10% of the traffic on that main road, only 10%. So when you have 90% of the peak hour traffic is people in cars, I'm doubtful that moving the container options at great environmental and taxpayer expense will actually solve this problem. But what we do know is moving the port will result in freight spending more time stuck in traffic, trucks burning more fuel to get it where it needs to go, and these costs will be borne directly by yourselves and ultimately customers. Well, is there anything we can do? Actually, there is, yes. We could get a little smarter, a little more efficient about how, when, and how freight is collected. So right now, about 87% of all the trucks visiting the port do so during peak commuter times, Monday to Friday, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. In any given week, that's only about a third of the available hours. It's 60 hours. So any change to freight movements to outside of these peak times, the remaining 108 hours in a week, would be awesome. And to help with, some maybe potential increased labor costs associated with off-peak movements, it could be supported by doing simple things like green streaming the traffic lights. So that way trucks can be free-flowing from in and out of the port and onto each highway and get to where they need to go. Or we could do something as simple as change a little policy that says you can only have 3 TEUs on a truck, up it to 4, so that way you can carry more freight on these trucks. I realize this is a big step and one that can't be introduced overnight, but that's why I support the Clean Freight for Freo initiative. And what that does, it would reward operators who use cleaner, quieter trucks, phase in a cap on the number of booking slots available during peak commute times, and encourage more efficient movements. And looking at the data, it does show that there is heaps of spare capacity in the current freight truck movements to create some better efficiency. Because right now, over 25% of trucks arriving or leaving the port do so empty. That's less than 50% achieving two-way loading. And the ones that are carrying freight, they're averaging about 1.6 TEUs per truck. So if we can raise that average, just per truck of the ones carrying freight to say 3 TEUs, and cut that empty running in half, we could, in theory, double the freight in and out of Fremantle Port without introducing a single extra truck onto local roads. So even without shifting truck movements to outside peak commuter times, there is much that can be done to make port freight traffic more efficient. And in fact, a combination of the above has already been proven to work, along with a little bit of freight on rail. Because between 2014 and 2019, the freight task for our state grew by an average of 2% each year. But over that period of time, the number of trucks accessing the port to carry that freight decreased by 5% annually. Now, how did that happen? It's not really rocket science. There was less empty running, and there were more TEUs on trucks. I think the average went from 1.4 just to 1.6, and we put a little more freight on rail. So over those 5 years, we're able to see our trade task grow and the number of movements required to move that freight reduce significantly. And even though there are lots of reasons why the goals I've just mentioned might be difficult to achieve, the alternative to not even trying to extend some of those proven efficiencies from 2014 and 2019 is really our state government spending $10 billion taxpayer dollars just to build a new container port in Coburn Sound. And just so all of you will be forced to drive at least twice as far to reach the distribution centers and get the freight where it needs to go. The alternative is to not try anything at all, is more time, more fuel, and more costs. And most importantly, for the city that I love, my adopted home of Fremantle, if no effort is made for more efficient truck movements, we lose a critical part of our very identity as a port city. So come down to Frio while you're here, and while our working port is still there. Enjoy the bustling streets, the restaurants, the music, the art, the beaches, and at least for a little while longer, you can take a front row seat to watch the industrial ballet between ships, cranes, trucks, and trains that have been part of our city's long history, and I hope to be a part of our future. So thank you all again for your time, and I hope you have a great day.